And we are live. Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Mufasa's Daily Book Reading at noon. I trust that you had a wonderful weekend, one where that was satisfying and liking. Okay. Um, we're gonna start reading part 2 of the book that we're reading, and we're reading Executive Coaching with Backbone and Heart, and the author is Mary Beth O'Neill. And part 2 is the 4 phases of coaching. So we'll be reading about the 4 phases of coaching. And today we're going to be reading about phase 1, which is contracting. So let me set my timer for 10 minutes. And remember that the description of, in today's description, you will find the playlist for all the readings that we've done so far for this book, as well as the previous book that we read, Energy Leadership. The author is Bruce D. Schneider, on our YouTube channel. So that link will lead you to our YouTube channel. So make sure that you get all of that fulfilling content. Okay, 10 minutes is set. We'll start reading. Phase 1, contracting. Find a way to be a partner. If you are familiar with the action research methodology from the organizational development field, you will recognize the 4 phases of executive coaching 1 outlined here. They come directly from that tradition. The roots of the coaching phases. The 5 classic phases of action research are 1, entry and contracting, 2, data collection and feedback, 3, action planning, 4, implementation and follow through, and 5, evaluation, including either termination of the contracting or recycling through the steps. The 4 phases of executive coaching 1 cover here: contracting, planning, live action coaching, and debriefing constitute a form of action research. I combine the action research model with the systems perspective because each leverages the other for greater results. As I discuss these phases, I highlight areas of system assessment and intervention. The systems approach, noticing and changing patterns, supports action research methodology. Action research is based on the concept that interventions in any phase, not just during the implementation step alone, can create change. As soon as an organization begins to engage in action research, it creates a heightened self-awareness that remedies it for change. In these 4 phases, I highlight the critical issues that are often underemphasized in the coaching literature. These include a focus on specific business results and the leader's need to create organizational alignment. Contracting. In many ways, contracting is the most important phase. Both parties, the coach and the client, need to build a relationship, and the coach needs to establish credibility. The client wonders, can the coach help me? The coach asks herself, is this executive open to feedback? Together, they must establish the goals and the parameters for the coaching relationship and set expectations that drive the remaining phases. At this stage, coaches offer clients a sense of what working together will be like. An executive coaching contract works for 2 kinds of clients: the new client who wants just executive coaching services, and the new or existing client with whom you will work on a large organizational intervention where the one-to-one coaching is only part of the overall work. Regardless of the type of client, there are a number of important steps in contracting. And these are: join with the client, Familiarize yourself with your client's challenges. Test the client's ability to own his part of the issue. Give immediate feedback to the client. Take a systems view of your client's issue. Establish a contract. Encourage the executive to set measurable goals and involve the boss. The contracting conversation allows you to launch a productive partnership and build elements into that will keep the other phases on track. Join with the client. There is no getting around good old fashioned social skills on the front end of the contracting. Friendliness and approachability, a sense of humor, and a sincere interest in the other person. The ease, flow, and even fun in your conversations builds strength for the tougher times that will later stress the fabric of your relationship. A new client needs answers to the following questions. How quickly can you get on board with me? Do you get what I'm talking about? Are you practical? Are you effective? Do you have some depth to your experience? She wants to know whether you will really help. She may not explicitly voice these questions. Nonetheless, you must pass the client's test. You need to qualify your clients as well. The kind of executive coaching requires clients to explore their strengths and drawbacks willingly. Wise executives see themselves not only as an individual, but also a deeply embedded factor in the success and disappointment of an organizational effort. When they readily look at themselves, energy draining homeostasis is less likely to keep the system from productive change. Familiarize yourself with your client's challenge. The partnership begins when your client talks about the specific issues by which she is currently experiencing. The problem could be with one or another person, an employee, boss, or peer, or it could be a work group or larger organizational issue, lack of resources, a visioning effort, downsizing, or work design. Often just listening, following your curiosity about the issue, and constantly restating for clarity can help the client define the central issue and her opportunities and challenges within this issue. Use specific listening skills. A whole host of listening skills enhances the early part of the coaching conversation. I highlight 4 here that I use most often at this stage. These are correctness, empathy, confrontation, and respect. Concreteness means inviting the clients to get more specific about the issue. Executives often speak in global terms and have little patience for details. Do not get intimidated by this impatience. You are not asking details for detail's sake, but inviting the client to describe actual behaviors and circumstances so you both can see what she really means by her global terms. Many clients articulate global dissatisfaction, but have been unclear with their staff about their expectations. By pushing for greater specificity from clients, you do an enormous favor for the organizations. Some questions that elicit a specific, concrete response include the following. What specifically frustrates you about the situation? Can you give me an example? What do you mean? When did this happen? What specifically do you expect from them? I think these are very good questions. These are nice. Empathy is your effort to show that you understand your client's concerns. The more you can express the client's message in your own words, the more she will think, okay, he knows what I'm talking about. When you nail down the client's core concern, you address her real issue, not the issue you think she means. Following Following are some examples of using empathy in a coaching conversation. You seem most concerned about the expanding demands of the business and whether you have the staff to cover those demands. Do you mean you are caught between being loyal to the employees who built this company with you and at the same time wanting to take advantage of the hot new stars in the business? It seems you are struggling with giving hard feedback to a couple of long-term employees, and they may be unaware that their performance no longer meets the demands of their position. Showing empathy can help a client sift and weigh her concerns. She can either say, "Yeah, I guess this is a big issue for me," or she can say, "When I hear you put it in that way, I'm actually more troubled about something else." Confrontation does not mean inciting a conflict with the client. In this context, confrontation means pointing out discrepancies between what the client is saying and what she actually does. It could be a mismatch between what she has said 20 minutes ago and what she is saying now, or between her words and her actions. You bring forth the discrepancy in a neutral tone, not with a gotcha attitude. I love it. You simply hold up a mirror so the client can make her own judgments about her incongruence. The more neutral you are about showing the mismatch, the more powerful this intervention will be for the client. Neutrality means being descriptive rather than critical or judgmental about the client's behavior. Here are some ways of using confrontation in a coaching conversation. You say excellence is your number one concern, yet you report that you haven't set competitive standards that are up to date in the market. In the past 10 minutes, you have given arguments both for and against creating new positions. This is the first time I have heard you question the CEO's direction and lay out a thorough alternative strategy. Spending time on a client's discrepancies in behavior helps her finally deal with contradictions that she has been living with for months or even years. It helps her get ready to change them rather than chronically tolerate them. Then respect. Respect goes beyond holding the client in high regard or admiring her qualities. Actually, it has to do with having a deep belief that she has a capacity and the resource to handle and resolve the situation. That's beautiful. You believe and show that the client ultimately has the resilience she needs to address her issue. Respect keeps you in the client responsibility model. The rescue model ultimately disrespects your client because the coach takes on the client's problem-solving accountability. You can use respect in a coaching conversation in these ways. You have successfully dealt with challenges like this before. You actually show more knowledge in this area than you give yourself credit. The combination of traits you bring to this issue, practical savvy along with keeping an eye on the larger goal, is what the situation calls for. You have a way of using your sense of humor to keep perspective while you wade through the toughest phases of the project. Once you have engaged your client using these four listening skills: concreteness, empathy, confrontation, and respect, she is equipped to better understand her situation. You both will know more about what is at stake and understand the context surrounding your client's dilemma. And that concludes today's reading. Thank you so much for participating in today's reading. The one thing I wanted to point out was the client responsibility model and the rescue model. We did read about this last week, so definitely go onto our YouTube channel, and you will find it in the previous reading, and just get an understanding about the two different types of models, coaching models. Remember to send in any questions that you might have about leadership or coaching. The email address is in today's description, and enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you on Wednesday. Thank you.